As U.S.-China tensions climb to unprecedented levels, the threat beneath the ocean's surface mirrors the tension above. Imagine a U.S. Navy submarine suddenly surfacing within a Chinese fleet, an action that could turn cautious standoffs into a dangerous confrontation. What happens when a U.S. sub appears unannounced amid China's naval forces? Such a moment could ignite chaos and shift global power in an instant. First, a little context to understand how this situation evolved. Since the end of World War II, the United States Navy has been the dominant maritime force in the Pacific, securing key trade routes and asserting its presence in strategic waters. For much of the 20th century, no nation could rival the sheer power and reach of the U.S. Navy, which was instrumental in maintaining global stability. However, China has steadily grown into a formidable naval power, particularly over the last few decades. The turning point in this naval rivalry occurred during the Third Taiwan Strait Crisis in 1996, when China conducted missile tests near Taiwan to intimidate the island nation. In response, the United States boldly dispatched 2 aircraft carrier groups to the area, showcasing its resolve to counter Chinese aggression and protect its interests in the region. This incident underscored China's rising frustration with U.S. dominance. Since then, China has invested heavily in modernizing its navy. It commissioned its first aircraft carrier, the Liaoning, in 2012, followed by the Shandong in 2019. Both carriers signal China's growing ambitions to challenge the status quo. Today, China's People's Liberation Army Navy boasts over 350 ships, including advanced destroyers, submarines, and aircraft carriers. However, despite China's larger fleet size, the U.S. Navy retains critical advantages, particularly in submarine warfare. With 49 cutting-edge attack submarines, including the stealthy Virginia class, which are equipped to operate undetected for extended periods, gathering intelligence, and conducting offensive operations. Submarines are a crucial component of modern naval warfare, offering both offensive and defensive capabilities that few other platforms can match. Their ability to operate covertly far beneath the ocean's surface allows them to carry out a variety of missions, from intelligence gathering to launching precision strikes on enemy vessels and coastal targets. This makes them an invaluable asset in any navy's arsenal. For both the U.S. and China, submarines are central to their naval strategies, particularly in the contested waters of the Pacific and the South China Sea. The United States Navy's Virginia-class attack submarines represent the cutting edge of submarine technology. These vessels are equipped with advanced sonar systems, noise-reducing technologies, and the ability to stay submerged for months at a time. They are armed with a wide range of weapons, including torpedoes, anti-ship missiles, and land attack cruise missiles, giving them the versatility to handle a variety of mission profiles. A single Virginia-class submarine can carry up to 37 weapons, allowing it to adapt to different threats and engage targets across vast distances. These submarines are often described as silent hunters, because their stealth capabilities make them nearly impossible to detect. In contrast, China's submarine fleet is larger, but not as technologically advanced. The People's Liberation Army Navy operates about 66 submarines, including both nuclear-powered and diesel-electric vessels. While China has made significant strides in modernizing its fleet, many of its submarines, particularly the diesel-electric ones, lack the endurance and stealth capabilities of their U.S. counterparts. However, China's Type 93 Shang-class nuclear-powered submarines are a formidable force. These subs are designed to challenge U.S. dominance in the Pacific, particularly in the South China Sea, where China has been asserting territorial claims and increasing its naval presence. One of the key advantages of submarines is their ability to operate undetected in contested waters, providing strategic options that are not available to surface ships or aircraft. For example, a Virginia-class submarine can infiltrate enemy waters, gather intelligence, and even launch missile strikes, all while remaining unseen. This gives the U.S. Navy a significant edge in any potential confrontation with China, particularly in scenarios where stealth and surprise are critical. While China's submarine fleet is growing, the U.S. retains a technological advantage in areas like sonar systems, weapons technology, and operational experience. As both nations continue to invest heavily in their submarine capabilities, the competition beneath the ocean's surface will play a pivotal role in shaping the balance of power in the Pacific. With both nations enhancing their submarine capabilities, the question becomes, What happens when these forces come face to face in a high-stakes scenario? Imagine this. A Chinese carrier strike group is conducting naval exercises in the contested waters of the South China Sea. This region, a critical artery for global trade, has long been a flashpoint for territorial disputes, with China asserting bold claims and strengthening its presence through military drills and island fortifications. These exercises are routine, a demonstration of China's growing naval power. Suddenly, something extraordinary happens. Without warning, the calm is shattered as a sleek black hull emerges from the depths. A Virginia-class U.S. Navy submarine surfaces in the middle of the Chinese formation, just a few hundred yards from the flagship. Its appearance is so unexpected that it sends shockwaves through the fleet. For a moment, silence reigns aboard the Chinese ships. Radar operators, who moments ago saw nothing, scramble to understand how a submarine could get so close, undetected. The realization sinks in. This U.S. submarine had been lurking in their midst, possibly gathering intelligence on their movements and communications. This is no accident. It's a meticulously planned maneuver, showcasing the stealth capabilities of the U.S. Navy's submarine force. The Virginia-class submarine, equipped with state-of-the-art sonar systems and noise-reducing technologies, had evaded detection in one of the most monitored areas of the world. The response aboard the Chinese ships is immediate. Alarms blare, and the carrier strike group springs into action. Officers rush to battle stations, while crew members scramble. The routine exercise has transformed into a high-stakes situation, with potential escalation looming large. The Chinese fleet, previously confident in its territorial waters, now finds itself exposed. The surfacing of the U.S. submarine is more than just a display of power. It's a strategic message. By surfacing within the Chinese fleet, the U.S. is proving that its submarines can operate undetected in waters China claims as its own. This sends a message to Beijing. The U.S. Navy's reach extends even into Chinese-controlled waters, challenging China's assumptions about its maritime dominance. The tactical implications are significant. For the Chinese Navy, this event highlights a vulnerability in their anti-submarine warfare capabilities. If a U.S. submarine can infiltrate undetected, it raises questions about their ability to protect naval assets in future confrontations. The psychological impact is equally notable. Their fleet, operating in supposedly secure waters, was blindsided by an adversary they couldn't detect. Diplomatically, the incident is just as important. The U.S. has long opposed China's militarization of the South China Sea, and this surfacing reaffirms its commitment to ensuring freedom of navigation in international waters. It signals to U.S. allies in the region, such as Japan, Australia, and the Philippines, that America is willing to challenge China's influence in the Indo-Pacific. The Chinese commanders now face a dilemma. Should they respond aggressively and risk escalating into a confrontation? Or should they take a more measured approach, lodging diplomatic protests and re-evaluating their naval strategies? An aggressive response could lead to conflict, while a passive reaction might be seen as weakness, both domestically and globally. As Chinese ships scramble to reposition and deploy anti-submarine measures, helicopters take to the skies, deploying sonar buoys to search for other submarines. Surface vessels activate their sonar arrays to track the intruder. Every move is being scrutinized, and the risk of miscalculation is high. For the U.S., this is a demonstration of technological superiority and operational prowess. The Virginia-class submarine, with its stealth and precision, has shown that the U.S. Navy can penetrate even the most defended waters. It's a signal to China and the world that the U.S. remains dominant in submarine warfare. This incident will have long-lasting consequences. China is likely to accelerate naval modernization, particularly in anti-submarine technology, while the U.S. strengthens its alliances and presence in the region. The balance of power in the Pacific has shifted, and the next move belongs to China. The Chinese fleet, now on high alert, quickly initiates defensive maneuvers. Ships begin to spread out, widening the gaps between vessels to minimize the risk of a concentrated torpedo attack. This tactical dispersion reduces the fleet's vulnerability and creates space for anti-submarine operations. Anti-submarine warfare helicopters are immediately launched, hovering above the fleet as they deploy sonar buoys into the water, scanning for any additional U.S. submarines that might be lurking below the surface. Surface vessels quickly activate their towed sonar arrays and begin scanning for any signs of hidden threats. Every crew member on the Chinese ships is on edge, fully aware that the sudden appearance of the U.S. submarine could be just the beginning. The fear of more submarines, undetected and lying in wait, creates a tense atmosphere. Meanwhile, the fleet's commanders face a critical decision. How do they respond to the surfacing of the U.S. submarine? An aggressive response could escalate the situation into an all-out conflict. Opening fire or engaging the U.S. submarine would not only risk lives, but could lead to a broader confrontation between the two naval superpowers. However, doing nothing might signal weakness, both to China's leadership and to the international community. The Chinese commanders are in a precarious position, balancing the need for a measured response with the pressure to maintain their authority in contested waters. In the midst of this high-stakes situation, China's naval forces must weigh their options carefully, knowing that a single misstep could have far-reaching geopolitical consequences. The surfacing of a U.S. Navy submarine within a Chinese fleet would not remain a mere tactical incident. Its diplomatic and strategic ripples would be felt across the world. For China, this event poses a major challenge to its authority in the region, and it forces the leadership in Beijing to reassess its naval capabilities and strategies. Publicly, China might lodge formal diplomatic protests, accusing the U.S. of violating its claimed territorial waters and use the incident to rally nationalist sentiment. Privately, however, China's military leaders would be compelled to examine how the U.S. managed such a bold maneuver without detection. For the United States, this incident serves multiple purposes. It reinforces its commitment to freedom of navigation in the South China Sea, where it has consistently opposed China's territorial claims. It also sends a clear message to allies in the region, like Japan, South Korea, and Australia, that the U.S. remains a dominant force capable of defending its interests in Asia. This demonstration of power could bolster diplomatic ties with these allies, solidifying cooperative defense agreements and joint naval exercises to counterbalance China's growing influence. Strategically, the incident might accelerate an arms race in the region. China could intensify its focus on anti-submarine warfare capabilities, investing more in sonar technology, underwater drones, and enhanced surveillance networks. The U.S., in turn, would likely continue to refine its already advanced submarine fleet, ensuring it stays several steps ahead of Chinese advancements. This incident would have long-lasting implications for naval doctrines on both sides, shaping future engagements and power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific region, where a single event can shift the delicate balance of global influence. This hypothetical incident between the U.S. and Chinese navies echoes previous real-world encounters that have shaped naval strategies over the years. One such incident occurred in 2006, when a Chinese Song-class diesel-electric submarine surfaced unexpectedly within torpedo range of the USS Kitty Hawk carrier group near Okinawa. The event shocked the U.S. Navy, as the Chinese submarine had managed to infiltrate a heavily defended carrier group undetected. This forced the U.S. to reassess its anti-submarine warfare capabilities and highlighted the growing sophistication of China's submarine fleet. Similarly, the hypothetical surfacing of a U.S. submarine in the middle of a Chinese fleet would prompt serious reconsideration of Chinese naval tactics. Just as the 2006 incident revealed gaps in the U.S. Navy's detection systems, this scenario would expose vulnerabilities in China's anti-submarine defenses. It would likely lead to a rapid overhaul of China's ASW capabilities, driving more investment into sonar technologies, underwater drones, and advanced tracking systems. The goal would be to prevent such an infiltration from happening again. From a broader perspective, naval history shows how pivotal incidents can reshape military doctrines. The Cold War's submarine cat-and-mouse games between the U.S. and Soviet navies taught both nations valuable lessons in stealth, detection, and strategic deterrence. Likewise, this hypothetical encounter would force the U.S. and China to rethink their naval strategies, particularly in contested areas like the South China Sea. Ultimately, historical incidents remind us that moments of surprise and tactical brilliance can have long-term effects on how future conflicts are approached, especially in an era where technology and stealth play critical roles in naval dominance. This scenario highlights the fragile balance of power in the Pacific, where a single maneuver by a U.S. submarine could ripple into far-reaching military, diplomatic, and geopolitical consequences. The surfacing of a U.S. submarine within a Chinese fleet would not only test the technological capabilities of both nations, but also serve as a reminder of the ever-present risks of miscalculation in contested waters. As tensions between the US and China continue to rise, incidents like this, whether hypothetical or real, underscore the importance of careful navigation, both on the surface and beneath the waves. The consequences of such an event would shape naval doctrines and strategies on both sides. The US would reinforce its strategic dominance, while China would likely accelerate its modernization efforts in anti-submarine warfare. Allies in the region would look to the US for reassurance, while China might feel compelled to assert its strength in other ways, potentially heightening global tensions. As the dynamics of power in the Indo-Pacific continue to evolve, the role of submarines, those silent sentinels, remains pivotal in shaping international relations. Without a single shot being fired, a submarine could alter the course of history, changing the trajectory of military and diplomatic efforts. We want to hear your thoughts. How do you think advancements in space-based technologies and artificial intelligence might impact submarine warfare in the future? Share your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more in-depth analyses of global naval strategies.